Hi, I'm David Colwell, Executive Director of Philanthropy at Loma Linda University Adventist Health Sciences Center in Loma Linda, California. I'm pleased to be able to share with you for a few minutes today about prospecting, finding donors for your organization. I wanted to first dispel some syndromes or myths about where you might find donors. Sometimes you'll have people say to you, we should approach the name of fill in the blank richest person in town. I call that the Bill Gates syndrome. Nothing against Bill and Melinda Gates, they do wonderful things, but everyone seems to pop up their name when they think about someone who could help your organization. But unless they have a connection, you probably won't be able to get any money from them. Another myth is called the every member myth. And someone may say to you, well, if everyone would just give $100, we'll reach our goal. Well, you'll have some people who will give you nothing, some people who will give you $100, and others who will also give you $100, but they could have given you a lot more. And so you're missing out on some of the potential there. So really, you're going to be looking for people who have a passion for your mission, who have the capacity to give to you a significant gift, and who have a connection with your organization. That's kind of a theme that we'll be following throughout the presentation today. I wanted to thank Hank Rosso, the late Hank Rosso, for developing this concept of concentric circle of prospects. I had the privilege of taking Fundraising 101 from the fundraising school from Hank back in 1983, and this principle was something he shared with the class then, and it still applies today. Looking at the people who are closest to your organization first as those that you should approach and consider for major gift prospects. You're first looking at those who are on your board, people who have identified that they have real passion for your organization, people who are working in your organization, both in management as employees, and also major donors. So if you don't have a pool of prospects yet of major donors, then we'll be talking a little bit more about how you might find them. But as you can see here, as you go further out the circle, you get to people who have less and less of a connection to you. And so those are ones that are not going to be quite as strong, but you might be able to develop links with them over time. So we're going to again look at people who have a passion for your organization, who have the capacity to make a large gift, and then who you can involve or connect with your organization. So as you think about what you're doing, who your constituents are, see how they plug into this circle, and you'll start to make a list, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. As you're approaching people, you can look at different ways. You may have heard the pyramid of giving, which is really a way of strengthening relationships with people. You're wanting to create an awareness of your organization, of your mission, and you can do that through annual giving or through public awareness, things like direct mail, phone-a-thons, events, things that may take more time and cost more money and have lower return than other things that as you're moving up the pyramid of giving. Once you get people on board, you certainly can renew their gifts, and that's where they've expressed an interest, and you have them giving annually. Again, you use things like direct mail and phone-a-thon and events to raise some of those dollars. However, it's when you moved up further on the pyramid to the engaged and invested level where people are really going to be able to tie in more and support your organization more because they have that connection. Again, it's people who have the passion, they've connected with your organization, and then they have the capacity to support you in a significant way. Let's look at how can you identify prospects for your organization. You can compile some lists from your internal database, say board members, leaders in your organization, people who again have a very close connection to what you're doing, donors. If you don't have a donor list, well, we'll come to that as well, but hopefully you have some folks who have already chosen to support your organization. Clients, sometimes if you're serving people who don't have a lot of money, you may look for people who have been clients in the past and been successful and being able to give back. And also vendors, people who connect to your organization on a daily basis. While they may not have the passion for what you do, they certainly are transacting with you, and you can hopefully strengthen that connection and have them be considered as donors as well. Then you also can get lists of names from board members, employees, and volunteers. And we'll talk a little bit about that in just another minute. And then suspects. Hopefully you're reading the newspaper, you're mingling with people in the community, you know what's going on around you, you know who some of the movers and shakers are, and you can create lists of those folks and have them available, and again, we'll talk about that in just a minute, for your board and others to be able to review. Again, and even just people who share with your mission. You may not have a connection with them yet, but you want to be able to include them on your list so you can hopefully establish that connection a little bit later on. After you've compiled your list, you want to be able to qualify your prospects. And you can do that in a number of ways, but you really want to keep in mind that you're looking for folks who have a passion for your mission, the capacity to be able to make a significant difference, and have a connection or can have a connection with your organization. The internet is a wonderful tool that provides a lot of resources, and the University of Southern California has put together a good website that has a lot of links to different free resources you can use. And as you can see, the website is usc.edu/department/source. I encourage you to go on and explore that site and find ways that you can be able to learn more about some of the people who are interested in your organization or that you'd like to see if they could become interested in your organization. With your board members, employees, and volunteers, I mentioned earlier, those are a great resource not only to get names, but to have them review names as well. So you can ask them to compile their own list. Sometimes if you say to board members, employees, or volunteers, well, tell me all the wealthy people you'll know, they may be hesitant to do so because they're a little hesitant about what you'll do with the list, or they just aren't quite sure they want to divulge that, or they might not even really know who has capacity. So another thing you could do would be just to ask them to review lists that you've already prepared and have 4 columns. The first column would be the name of the prospect. The second column, just a brief description about that individual if it's not obvious who they are, perhaps where they live or their connection in the community. And then the last 2 columns, one would be, do you know this person well? And the 4th column, are you acquainted with this person? And simply ask the board members, employees, or volunteers to check one of those 2 boxes. And that way you can follow up with them later as you're wanting to move forward in connecting with these folks. It's a pretty simple process and makes it easier for your volunteers to be able to go through that process. As you're getting the names back and getting to learn more about your prospects, there's a tool that Bill Sturdivant has developed called the Prospect Evaluation Grid. And I find that really helpful to be able to really fine-tune who you're wanting to approach. If you have a lot of names, then this is a really wonderful tool. If you don't have a lot, well, you can still do this exercise as a way of being able to see if these are people that you want to be able to approach now, or if they even have the ability to be able to be a major gift prospect for you. And again, keeping in mind that you want to be able to track their passion, capacity, and connection with you. And so on the grid, we see on the bottom is their involvement with your organization. If they're really not involved, then they're down in the low end. If they don't have high financial capacity, then they're probably maybe a 1-1 or a 2-2. And those are folks that are good people, but they just don't have the best capacity for you as a major donor. So you're looking for people who really have a high connection with your organization and have a high financial capacity. And those are folks that are up in the top right corner in the little blue box that are a 9-9. But others that are, say, a 5-5 or somewhere in that area can be good for you as well. You can create your own criteria for the numbering system. If you want to have involvement, 1 meaning there's no connection with them whatsoever, and perhaps a 9 is they're on your board, they're a major donor already, then you can do some ranking in between to help rank the others that come in line. Or if you want to look at financial capacity, perhaps as a high gift for you, it might be $10,000. It could be $5,000 annually. It's again relative to what's your organization's capacity, and so you can use that to help rank your donors to fit your organization. I can't stress enough the value of having a database established before you really move into this process. Not only does it help you keep track of your donors and prospects, their giving and involvement with your organization, but helps you keep track of the activities that you're wanting to involve them in, being able to plan strategies, to track those interactions, to note connections with your organization, the people that they know that may be on your board, just to help you in the process of connecting them more. And again, these are folks that already have a passion, and they may have, again, we hopefully have the high capacity, and now you're wanting to be able to connect them and be able to do that in a strategic way. I don't usually promote products, but I do suggest that you check out eTapestry, which is an online software that's free to any nonprofit, up to the first 500 records. Over that, there is a fee, but you can go to www.etapestry.com and check it out. They'd be happy to talk to you more if you'd like to see if that database might work for you. If you already have a database, then these are things that you can make sure that you are tracking as you're moving forward in your program of identifying and working with high-capacity prospects. In conclusion, I want to affirm that you have a worthwhile mission. What you do is really helping humanity, and there are people who share your passion for this mission, and there are people with capacity who want to help you achieve this mission. And through a systematic approach, you can strengthen the connection with these people through a mutually satisfying relationship. After all, fundraising is all about relationships, finding people who have a passion for what you do, who have the capacity to make a gift, and who want to be connected and help to make a difference. Thank you.